The night I crossed the line with my own patient, I knew nothing would ever be the same. My name is Dr. Claire Mitchell. I'm 32 years old and I live in New York City. I've spent the last decade building my career as a psychologist, helping people untangle their pain, guiding them toward healthier choices. But sometimes the most dangerous people aren't strangers on the street. They're the ones who sit across from you, smiling, pretending to be broken when in reality they're hiding something much darker. That's exactly what I felt when I first met Ethan. He was 35, well-dressed, and too charming for someone who claimed to be struggling. From the very first session I sensed his words didn't add up. His stories felt rehearsed, his emotions carefully staged. And yet everyone else seemed to buy his act. I couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't here to be helped. He was here to manipulate, to play a role, to hide. So I made a decision that went against every rule in my profession. I decided to get closer, to blur the lines, to let him believe I was falling for him, when in reality I was watching, waiting for him to reveal who he really was. It wasn't just a risk to my career. It was a risk to my safety. Because men like Ethan don't forgive women who see through their masks. And the night I agreed to meet him outside my office, I knew I was stepping into dangerous territory. I thought that was the biggest mistake of my career, but it was only the beginning. When Ethan sat across from me in my office, his posture was always perfect. Shoulders back, voice steady, eyes sharp. But behind that polished image I caught glimpses of something else. A flash of arrogance when he thought I wasn't looking, a smirk whenever he told a story about someone who had wronged him. He spoke of ex-girlfriends who betrayed him, bosses who envied him, and friends who used him. At first it sounded like bad luck. But the pattern was too clear. Every story made him the victim and everyone else the villain. That's when my suspicion turned into certainty. Ethan was hiding something. I confided in my colleague and closest friend, Dr. Lisa Bennett. Over coffee I lowered my voice. Something isn't right with him. He's too controlled, too careful. I think he's lying to me. Lisa frowned. Claire, don't get pulled in. If you start blurring boundaries, you risk everything, your license, your reputation, even your safety. I nodded, but my mind was already made up. I couldn't sit back and let Ethan keep manipulating me, or whoever else he had targeted before. The real test came one evening at the end of our session. Ethan leaned forward, his voice lower, almost conspiratorial. You work so hard, he said softly. You should let someone take care of you for once. Have dinner with me. Just us. No therapy. No rules. My stomach dropped. This was the line every therapist dreads. A patient inviting intimacy beyond the walls of the office. I should have refused. I should have reported him. But instead I forced a smile, hiding the storm inside me, and whispered, all right. Because if I wanted to expose him I had to play his game. I wanted to resist. But fate pushed me straight into his dangerous game. The restaurant Ethan chose was upscale. Low golden lights, velvet booths, the kind of place where the waiters whisper and everyone pretends not to stare. He looked sharp in a tailored suit, his charm turned up to full volume. You look beautiful, Claire, he said, his gaze steady, too steady. It wasn't a compliment, it was a test. I smiled, though my pulse raced. This wasn't a date. It was surveillance. I was here to observe, to peel away his mask piece by piece. Over dinner, Ethan told stories about his past, about deals gone wrong, about people who had betrayed him. But when I asked simple follow-up questions, dates, places, names, he dodged with vague answers. His lies had cracks, but he was too smooth, too confident, like a man who'd rehearsed this script 100 times. Then the first twist came. While Ethan excused himself to take a phone call, the bartender leaned close to me. A man in his 40s, rough voice, eyes tired. You're here with him? He asked quietly. I nodded, cautious. The bartender's expression darkened. Be careful. Guys like him don't change. I've seen him here before with other women. Always the same story. He charms them, then something goes wrong. Before I could respond, Ethan returned. His smile was back, but there was something sharper in his eyes, like he suspected the conversation. To my shock, he slid into the booth beside me instead of across. His arm draped casually around my shoulders, but his grip was firm. "Everything all right here?" he asked the bartender, his tone light but laced with warning. The bartender froze, muttered something and walked away. Then Ethan did something bold. He pulled me closer, his voice low enough for only me to hear. "Don't look so tense, Claire. You're mine tonight." And before I could react, he looked around the room and announced loud enough for others to hear, "This is my girlfriend." My heart dropped. This wasn't part of my plan. He wasn't just testing me, he was claiming me. I thought I was in control, but he was about to turn the tables on me. After that night at the restaurant, I couldn't sleep. Ethan's words echoed in my head, "You're mine tonight." The way he announced it, as if my identity could be claimed with a sentence, left my skin crawling. The next morning I stared at myself in the mirror, asking a question no therapist ever wants to face. Had I gone too far? I had blurred boundaries, lied to a patient and put myself in his game. But I reminded myself of the reason. I needed to expose him. If I backed down now, everything I'd risked would be meaningless. Ethan kept texting me after that night. Sweet at first, "Did you get home safe?" Then more demanding, "Why aren't you answering me? I know you're free." At work, I hid the messages, pretending to Lisa that everything was fine. But she could see it in my face. "Claire," she said one afternoon in the staff lounge, "you're playing with fire. If he gets inside your head, you'll lose control." I wanted to believe I was still in control. But Ethan wasn't making it easy. He started leaving gifts for me. Flowers at my office, expensive wine at my doorstep. When I told him it was too much, he tilted his head and whispered, "No one's ever cared for you like I do. You should be grateful." Part of me wanted to scream. Another part feared how far he'd go if I pushed back. One evening, against my better judgment, I met him again. This time in a quiet lounge. We sat close and he began telling me about his childhood. Absent parents, betrayals, loneliness. For a moment his voice softened and I almost believed him. My heart wavered. Was I seeing the real Ethan or just another mask? But then the mid-twist came. Later that night, unable to shake my doubts, I searched his name online. At first, nothing. Then, buried deep in old articles, I found it. Ethan wasn't even his real name. He had been involved in a financial scandal 5 years earlier under a different identity. Fraud, manipulation ruined lives. He had disappeared after that, until now. My blood went cold. He hadn't just lied to me in session. His entire identity was a fabrication. When I saw him the next day sitting across from me with that same practiced smile, I struggled to hold my composure. He leaned in, eyes dark with something unreadable. "You look like you've been keeping secrets," he said softly. He didn't know I had discovered his past. Not yet. But in that moment, I realized I wasn't just risking my career anymore. I was risking my life. I didn't know whether to trust him, or fear what he was capable of. The truth burned inside me like fire. Every smile, every sweet word Ethan had fed me now felt poisonous. I couldn't keep playing this game quietly. It was time to confront him. I arranged to meet him at a downtown cafe. My hands trembled around the coffee cup as he walked in, confident as ever, sliding into the seat across from me. "You've been distant," he said smoothly. "Are you hiding something from me, Claire?" I looked him dead in the eyes. "Maybe I should be asking you that. Or should I say, Michael Hayes?" For the first time since I'd met him, his mask cracked. A flicker of recognition, a flash of anger. "So you've been digging." His voice was lower now, dangerous. "I know who you are. The fraud, the ruined investors, the lives you destroyed. You've been lying to me since the day you walked into my office." Instead of denying it, Ethan leaned forward, a slow smile spreading across his face. "And yet here you are. You seduced me, remember? You wanted to get close. Maybe you're not as innocent as you pretend." His words sliced through me, but before I could respond, a voice interrupted. It was the bartender from the restaurant, standing at the counter, glaring at Ethan. "She's not the first," he muttered, loud enough for me to hear. The air between us turned electric. Ethan's smirk grew wider, but his eyes burned with fury. "You think you can expose me?" he whispered. "You'll regret it." I swallowed hard, but my voice didn't shake. "No, Ethan. I'm done being afraid of you." Backhand index pointing right, with one choice. I knew my life would never be the same again. The moment I left that cafe, I knew there was no turning back. Ethan's mask had finally cracked, and underneath it was someone far more dangerous than I had imagined. That same evening I filed a full report, first with the hospital board, then with the authorities. I handed over every note, every recorded inconsistency, and the evidence of his hidden identity. My career was on the line, but the truth was more important than protecting my reputation. When the police confronted him, Ethan didn't resist. He smiled. That smile haunts me still. As if he knew this wasn't the end. The board suspended him from therapy sessions immediately. Colleagues whispered about me in the hallways. Some admired my courage, others questioned my methods. But deep down I knew I had done the right thing. That night Lisa hugged me tightly. "You did what no one else would, Claire. You exposed him." And Ryan, the bartender who had warned me, approached me outside. "He's dangerous. Watch your back. Men like him don't forgive." I nodded, clutching my coat around me as if it could shield me from the storm I had unleashed. For the first time in weeks I slept peacefully, knowing the truth was finally in the light. But peace didn't last long. 2 days later, a letter slipped under my apartment door. No envelope. Just bold handwriting across a single sheet of paper. "You may think you've won, Claire. But I always come back." My hands trembled as I read the words. My story wasn't over. It was only shifting into something darker. I thought my story ended here, but destiny had another storm waiting.